Noblesse Oblige, the Nancy Mitford document, which she was the editor of at least. Do you remember fish knives? Some say the bluntness of a fish knife reflects its primary function, which is to remove the skin while minimizing the risk of cutting the flesh. Others say the skin is delicious. You don't need a sharp knife, though, to cut fish. He also considered the shape of fish knives to be purely decorative. A standard shaped knife would do the job better. So it's seen as a sort of thing that the upper class would not use because it would be seen as a little vulgar, as if you're trying to be a bit too fancy for your own good.
I have two sets of fish knives, which I use all the time. The trouble is the fish knives with bone handles don't survive well in the dishwasher.
No. That's true.
When I go to a restaurant now and say, by any chance, have you got a fish knife? They say, I'm sorry, the last time we saw a fish knife was when my grandma used it.
Kate Middleton and the Queen. Now, it's actually not really Kate Middleton, but it's Kate's mother that is the one who has been referred to. This is in papers like the Express and the Mail, when they're always trying to find out reasons to find something interesting to say about the royal family. When Prince William and Kate Middleton split up in 2007, the press blamed it on Kate's mother's linguistic gaffes at Buckingham Palace. She reputedly responded to the Queen's "How do you do?" with a decidedly non-new "Pleased to meet you." The correct response would have "How do you do?" She proceeded to ask to use the toilet instead of the lavatory. I imagine most of you recognise this. What series is this from?
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey.
Can you name those three ladies there?
Lady Mary, Lady
right.
Edith,
Lady Rose.
Thank you, Graham. And there, of course, is the Dowager Duchess on the left. Who is that? Maggie Smith? Was it Maggie Smith?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
She was terrific. She stole the show,
Terrific.
Didn't she?
Yeah.
Showed her disdain for the word weekend in the in that weekend. Who talks of a weekend? Anyway.
Aren't we snobs?
Because of the paintings of John Singer Sargent, who there's recently been an exhibition of his at the Tate, which was one of the most popular of the era that they had. And he's an American artist, but he specialized in portraying women of the English aristocracy. And he was, some people think he was an absolute master of his work, though even at the time, some people dismissed his work as superficial and lacking of substance. But in terms of the craft of oil painting, he's seen as an absolute master of it. This is one of them. And on to the next. And here you can see a photograph of the particular woman. I think she looks very much up to date, doesn't she? Don't you think? She could have been somebody in the 60s anyway. The one I think is the Winifred, Duchess of Portland. And this one is the Duchess of Sutherland. And this one is the Duchess of Marlborough. So he obviously earned quite a good living by going around painting them, which is fair enough. But I just think they're really quite interesting. They really show what they wanted to be represented as. And this is another one from his Tate exhibition, which I particularly like, which is Dots of Pot is at Home by John Singer Sargent. I think he looks great there. Okay, but what about America? Do they have differentiate things that they maybe set them aside from the others? Well, they seem very strong on euphemisms. I could never understand why they call the toilet a restroom or a bathroom. It's not a bathroom. You don't go to have a bath in it. And do you go to have a rest in it? Not well, maybe you do if you can read the newspapers there, but it seems a very strange way to do it. The you words they have would be mother, gal, fellow, thanks and much, as opposed to the non-you mum, mom, woman, guy, thanks very much. I don't know what thanks much means, by the way. It doesn't seem to make any sense to me, that one. Okay. Do you put your milk in the teacup before pouring the tea? Anybody put it in first? I do. I can't understand anybody would put it in any other way, but apparently that's not the polite way to do it.
Well,
we
you
usually,
don't.
usually
no,
use tea bags, so you don't put it in before the tea bag, do you?
No, but I use tea leaves.
Oh,
Yeah, but you can't
Tea
tell how
leaves.
much milk you need. So if you put it in first, you're stuck with it, aren't you? Whereas if you
Yeah.
put it in afterwards, you can think, oh right, that's enough now. That's the right color.
No, it brings it up to the right amount of strength that you want as you put the pour it in from the teapot. Derek, are you a milk after man?
So I always put the milk in second.
Right. Okay. I'm alone in this, then I'm not going to change that. Paul, what do you call the 3 meals of the day? Graham, what do you call them?
breakfast, lunch.
And dinner.
I'm a bit confused about this because when I was growing up, dinner was a hot meal. So it didn't matter what time of the day you were having it. So you'd have Sunday dinner, which would be a hot roast or whatever.
Okay.
But if you have a proper cooked meal in the evening, it would still be dinner. But anything else would be tea. So if you have
Yeah.
beans on toast.
So when
or
you were a child, what would you normally have called the first, the second, and the third meal?
I thought I just answered the question.
No, you didn't
Yeah.
answer the third one. You didn't answer what the one in the evening was called.
Dinner.
Maureen,
Dinner was the same
what
with
do you
us.
call it? Maureen?
Tea,
No,
Yeah.
the breakfast,
breakfast, lunch and tea, I
lunch and
think.
tea.
Yeah.
Jackie?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, except on a Sunday where Sunday dinner is at 2:00, and we
Oh,
have
right,
tea
okay.
in the evening,
Derek?
which is a yogurt.
Derek?
Well, I think I have the same confusion really, because
So what's your 3 then? Come on.
I think formally, seeing we're talking about language, I'd say breakfast, dinner, tea. You know,
But
so
but
tea's an
now that
tea.
you've become a bit posher, what do you call it now?
Now that I'm a bit posh, yeah.
Well, that was a joke. That was a joke. Don't go.
I'm sure you all noticed how posh I've become.
Well, TJ, what's yours?
Because I went to Gosforth Grammar School, and
Oh,
we never had lunch. It was always dinner tables put out for dinner time when the school meal was delivered. So dinner was
Dinner time at school.
emphatically middle of the day. Breakfast is always breakfast.
yeah, breakfast is standard.
But then when I've moved around the world and so on, there's a dilemma over the evening meal. And then in Liverpool, I think there's a thing called supper.
It was breakfast, dinner, and supper originally, at least.
Well, I was going to mention supper because I sometimes get invited out for supper, but it's actually a meal.
Lorraine, I never thought it'd be so complicated, this question.
Well, probably breakfast, dinner, and tea, but I do
Yes.
sometimes call dinner lunch.
Yeah.
Sometimes depends who I'm with. If I'm with all the elders, then I feel a bit posher. I call it lunch.
Yeah, you change it according to your audience, don't you? That's true.
I think so. I think there's an element
they
of
might
that,
wonder what
yeah.
I'm talking about if I say dinner, what they call lunchtime.
But
Yeah,
you see, supper to me is like
Just
a cup
before
of
bed.
coffee and a biscuit before you go to bed.
Yes.
So you don't wake up, rolling round the bed with whatever you
Hunger
roll around.
pangs.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And what was the last one? Dinner. Very good. Nell?
Well, breakfast, morning coffee, luncheon, afternoon tea, high tea.
Yes.
I wasn't asking for all the in-between ones as well. Which
If you're going out, say if you go out in the middle of the day, you would say going out for lunch, wouldn't you? Or going out for dinner.
yeah, I think
if
you would
were going
say
out in the
yeah,
evening.
it's context
You wouldn't
based.
say, we're going out for tea. Although, no, I probably do say that.
Sandy,
Well, being a northern working class lass, it was always breakfast, dinner, and tea. But I moved around the country, and you pick up
It's
what people say, don't you? So,
Yeah.
you know, you go out to dinner, don't you? I didn't go out to tea. Supper was a bowl of cornflakes at 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, but I mean, growing up and culturally, breakfast, dinner, and tea.
Bill?
It was just you ate when you were hungry, and I didn't care what I called it. Shaz has a go at me often about it. It's breakfast, dinner, and tea.
Yes.
From Wigan, that's what they were dragged up with.
It's right. I always think of it as breakfast, dinner, and tea. But when I'm talking to people who think will misunderstand what I'm saying, I'll call it lunch then, because they understand what that is. So there you go. Also got things like, do you serve guests pudding, sweet, dessert, or afters? Anybody got any preferences there?
It depends what it is.
Pudding's posh, isn't it, really?
What do you mean it depends what it is?
It's afters. It's afters. Afters after the other meal. You've got to have afters, haven't you?
I always call it pudding.
Pudding is a pudding, whereas a dessert or a sweet is something like cheesecake or, you know, meringue gatto or something like that, whereas pudding is steamed pudding.
Do you show them into your lounge, sitting room, front room, or living room? I suppose it's got to be at the front if it's a front room, isn't it? You can't have it at the back. I suppose you could.
Well, when I was growing up, we had 2 rooms. The front room was the room that we only used on special occasions, like Christmas, and we just had a living room that we lived in, and then a kitchen.
A lounge is in a hotel, not a house.
Yeah,
we always had a front room, but it was on the back. I think the front room implied that it was I mean, it wasn't a room that we used very much, but
no,
it's when you wanted to put on a front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you talk about a settee, a sofa, or a couch?
Sofa.
Any or all 3.
Yeah. Yes.
I call it a settee.
Yeah.
Sofa.
It would be a couch when I was growing up, I think. Call it a couch.
Yeah.
On the sofa.
Sofa now.
Okay, last one. What about toilet, lavatory, loo, or WC?
Oh, lots of
ladies.
Lavatory.
Or as my gran used to call it, the dolly vard, and there you go.
or down the backyard.
Yeah.
They like looking glass and wireless. We don't use wireless anymore. Do you talk about wireless? I suppose they are wireless nowadays.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I suppose you could do.
I think that's a generational thing, isn't it? We all grew up with the wireless, didn't we? You know.
I like calling it the wireless because it sounds nice and cozy and old fashioned. Then you've got things like non-new terms: cleaner for daily, posh, smart, nana, granny. I don't really understand all those.
No, I'm granny. My grandchildren call me granny. Oh, I'm getting very you. This is all. Is that good?
I mean, I remember in the royal family, she always used to call her granny Nana, didn't she? And I always thought that I couldn't understand that. We've always called them granny. Now, this was interesting because I got this from Claude. Claude is an AI source.
Oh.
But
your house is delightful, Graham.
He got them all wrong. It's the you are on the left because they're more sort of down to earth and when I actually checked on it on Claude and berated him for it, he agreed that he got them wrong and came out with a different set. I'll pop the kettle on. I put the water on to boil. That's ridiculous. Fancy a cuppa? Would you have a cup of tea? I don't know where don't rely on artificial intelligence. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it is artificial intelligence. Well, we say in Wigan, you fancy a brew?
Brew,
yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. That's a good one. But anyway, this is now what is thought to be non and new. The middle class one is more indirect, euphemistic, casual, pretentious, whereas upper class tends to be more direct, plain speaking, traditional, and understated. So now I want to just go on to something which is the use of the demotic. Now I love the word demotic, but I did have to look it up to check that I understood it. It's got its roots in the Greek word demos, meaning people, and it means use of everyday forms of language, slang. So, for example, the upper class are very good at using it to show their working class credentials, to show that they're one of the lads. So apparently the other day, Michael Tomlinson, the illegal immigration minister, I thought that meant he wasn't the real immigration minister. He was illegal, but he's a minister for illegal immigrations, i.e. not promoting them, stopping them. And he used the term Navy gravy on the Radio 4 Today program, which apparently is taken from naval slang for when you're taking something off, like if you're doing some metal work, just a very small shaving of it. But anyway, he used it.
Did he say navy gravy or navy gravy?
I don't know. I think you're right. I think he said navy gravy, yes. But that's the way they spelt it when they reported on it. Winston Churchill used KBO, keep buggering on, as one of his phrases. Margaret Thatcher used frit. Remember that? Yeah. You're all frit, you're all frightened. Boris Johnson called Jeremy Corbyn a big girl's blouse. Climate change activists, uncooperative crusties. And when he was ousted as a PM, them's the breaks. So he was trying to show his kind of everydayness. He's not being upper class. Anyway, these are various lists of the ones of you and non-you from a 2017 list. Alcohol, booze, antique, vintage, and so on.
Thanks, Bernard.
Thanks, Bernard. That was really good.
That was good fun.